Letting the time just drift away from me. Feeling my mind, it's drifting out to sea. I wanna smile again before I'm gone. Can we get back?
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Omni Building in Euclid, Ohio, it's the Cleveland Sports 360 Show with your host, LG. Today on LG Show is no other than Bart Zeller and Carmen Pignatiello. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, get your computers ready for the man, the myth, the legend, LG.
Coming all the way from Joliet, Illinois, is the one, the only, Bart Zeller. Bart Zeller. Bart, you with us?
I sure am, Larry. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you this afternoon, sir?
Well, I'm doing fine. We just got done taking batting practice, and it's a beautiful day, 95 degrees in Chicago, and no rain in the forecast, so it looks like we're going to play baseball tonight.
Yeah, I think we got the rain here in Cleveland that you guys had over the weekend. It finally made its way here, and it normally does.
Better for you than us.
Yeah, it normally comes a couple of days after it visited the Chicago area. Hey, Bart, let me ask you a couple of questions. First of all, you made it to the major leagues. You played for the St. Louis Cardinals. Give us a little bit about your background, will you?
Sure. I mean, to make it real simple, I went to college, University of Arizona, transferred to Eastern Illinois, graduated there with a degree in physical education and mathematics, signed with the St. Louis Cardinals in 1963, played with their organization for 8 years, and was lucky enough in 1970. I played high A, double A, triple A, and then finally in 1970 was lucky enough to have been selected to be on the team that broke camp and went north for after spring training.
And you were a catcher, isn't that correct?
That is correct. I was a catcher, and there was a guy by the name of Joe Torre that was catching ahead of me, and before that, a guy by the name of Tim McCarver. So I had pretty good company ahead of me.
Now, Torre, he managed to make a little bit of a career out of the baseball, huh?
He sure did. And you know what? Larry, there was something. Even back then, you knew that Joe was the kind of a guy that was going to stay in baseball. He was a student of the game. He took great deal in his preparation when we were playing other teams. He really started to understand the opposition and talk to our pitchers all the time. So you just knew that he was going to be a very special guy in baseball.
Yeah, and then not unlike yourself, Bart. I mean, you've been in the game of baseball pretty much your entire adult life, and you're still in it. Tell us a little bit about this Frontier Baseball League, man.
Well, the Frontier Baseball League is 19 years old. It's composed of 14 teams stretching on the east to Washington, Pennsylvania, on the west as far as probably the Chicagoland area, as far north as London, Ontario, Canada, and as far south as Florence, Kentucky. So we have 14 teams in that area, and we usually play 3-game series, so that we will be on the road for 6 and back for 6 and so forth, and we play 96 games, starting off early May and ending in September.
Now, Bart, I can't help but to notice you guys were the champions last year, the Slammers. You were the manager of the year in 2011. Isn't that correct?
That is correct, and I was very fortunate to have a wonderful group of young men. It was the first year in existence for the Joliet Slammers, and we sort of caught the league by surprise. We were not an outstanding team during the year. We held our own, and then after the All-Star break, put a winning streak together and got in the playoffs, and our pitching and hitting was timely, and next thing we know, we were the champions, and we had several awards given to us as an organization, and it was quite humbling to be there in the first year. Yeah,
it sounds fantastic. I mean, you must have did one hell of a job managing, Bart. Let me ask you a couple of questions, man. First of all, this Frontier Baseball League, I noticed that, the highest paid guy could make $72,000 a year. You guys have a salary cap that's pretty intact. But from what I've read up on, nobody's really making $72,000 a year playing baseball. Is that about right?
Yeah, but let me correct you, and I don't mean to correct the host of this radio show.
No, go right ahead. I mean, that's why we have an expert like you.
The salary cap for every team in the Frontier League is $75,000.
That's for the whole team?
That's for the whole team.
Oh, I misunderstood it. I thought that was for one player.
No, our salaries range from $600, and it can go as high as $1,600 per month. Players get paid during the season, so they don't get paid 12 months. They get paid during the time that they're playing. Right.
And then these players, they live with host families in some of the towns that have these teams. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. We're very, very fortunate in Joliet to have a number of families that take in the ball players, and they actually make them feel like they're one of their family. The players sleep there. The families will usually feed them and make sure that they're getting their nutrition for the day, because the life of a professional ball player is so different than it is from someone that works on a regular basis during the day.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, on the phone, joining us live all the way from the Chicago area in Illinois is Bart Zeller, the manager of the Joliet Slammers from the Frontier Baseball League. Now, Bart, how do you guys, I also noticed you have a limit that these veteran players are allowed to play in these teams.
Yeah, we're allowed what they call 13 experienced players, and an experienced player is someone that has played professional baseball for 2 years or more. So we're allowed 13 of those, and we can have 11 rookies. We don't have to have 13 experience, but quite frankly, it's to everybody's advantage to get as many experienced players as they can, because experienced players have been around the block a few times. They know the game, and you just don't have to teach them that much.
But how long can you keep an experienced player on the team?
A player, when he ages out of our league when he celebrates his 27th birthday. So he can't be 27 as of January 1st of the year we're playing.
Okay. So there's no term limit. It's an age limit. You could play it consecutive years as an experienced player in the Frontier League, but you can't pass up your 27th birthday.
That's exactly right, and there's a lot of reasons for that. There's goods and bads, but the good reasons are that we're not the kind of a league where they want to have a player play until he's 30, 31, 32. They want some fresh young kids to continue to play exciting baseball, and there's other independent leagues such as the Northern League, the American Association, the Atlantic League on the East Coast that takes ball players, heck, from the major leagues in AAA, 30, 33, 35 years old. So there's plenty of places for those players to play.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, once again on the phone, live from the Chicago area, from the Frontier Baseball League, is Bart Zeller from the Joliet Slammers. And Bart was good enough to join us tonight and give us a little bit of education on the Frontier Baseball League, even though we have a team here in the Cleveland area. And Bart, you came and you played the Lake Erie Slammers a couple of times already this season. Isn't that correct?
Oh, that is, and I'm going to have to correct you again because it's the Lake Erie
Crushers. The Crushers. I'm so sorry.
And they're located in Avon, Ohio, and they have a fantastic ballpark, a really good manager, good group of players, and their field is AstroTurf, or what we call artificial turf, and it's no matter what the weather is, you know you're going to get baseball in.
Yeah, I was impressed how quickly they threw that. I think it's called All Freight Stadium. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that is correct.
They really put that up in a hurry out there in Avon. I mean, the city got behind this team and they hustled, and I was impressed how quickly they put that stadium up. But you know, there's still a lot of people around the area that aren't that familiar with this Frontier Baseball League, and that's one of the reasons we're having you on the show tonight, so we can educate some people and get out and support these young guys that like to play baseball. Now, Bart, how do you come across these guys that want to play baseball for $600 a month and live with host families? Where do you recruit your talent from?
Well, you know, number one is, as you know, Major League Baseball and affiliated baseball in the minor leagues, there's a constant flow of players being released and being sent home.
Absolutely.
So one of the places that we look are recent releases. You know, we always try to get a player at least that's halfway geographically desirable so he doesn't have to travel cross-country. But it becomes a real sales job because the minute those releases come out, Larry, there's probably 6 to 8 teams talking to that young man about why they should come to their place and play baseball. So number one is we look to affiliated baseball fellows that are getting released. There's another group of players out there right now that did not get drafted in the June draft. They're seniors. They already graduated. They still believe and want to pursue baseball as a career at this time. So they want to play baseball. So we look at those kids. They come heavily recommended by some scouts and cross-checkers that they will tell us this is a kid that can play, should be playing, and if you can give him a chance, you'll be happy with it. So that's the second level that we get the players from. And then third level is just players that have been around that still want to keep playing baseball. And so when you add it all up, you have a cross-section of affiliated, some from college baseball, and some that just want to keep playing baseball. But a lot of people think that independent baseball is a glorious men's senior baseball league, and I can assure everybody that this is a very, very good brand of baseball. We have pitchers throwing high 80s, low 90s. We have a relief pitcher that's in 93, 95 with his fastball. I mean, these are kids that can still play the game at a high level, and the most important thing as far as I'm concerned is it's great family entertainment. I'm not going to knock Major League Baseball, but let me tell you something. You have to have a lot of discretionary income in order to take a family of 4 to a Major League Baseball game. It's a huge undertaking, $150, $200 to go see that game, whereas they can come to our place for $30 and get a hot dog and a hamburger, watch kids that really want to play the game of baseball, and it's an exciting brand, and everybody leaves here feeling pretty good about their experience.
Bart, Kenyon Johnson, can you tell us a story of possibly a player that came to you, was struggling, maybe in the majors or in the minors, that came to you and it's a great story that actually made it back to the majors?
Well, yeah. A number of years ago, there was a fellow by the name of Clay Zavada. Clay Zavada was a pitcher with the Diamondbacks in their organization. He got released, came down when I was at the Southern Illinois Miners, which is in the Frontier League, down in Marion, Illinois. And Clay started pitching for us in relief. He developed and had a great changeup. Scouts started to take notice that he was striking out his ratio of 10-to-1 strikes to walks, and his ERA was outstanding. So the Diamondbacks, strangely, re-signed him. He went to South Bend the next year in the Midwest League. Next year went to spring training, made the big league club, and pitched in the big leagues.
Well, that's a fantastic. A fantastic success story. Now, is that a creature of habit? I mean, do you have a lot of these guys that maybe came into your league? And is there any major league scouts that scout the Frontier League looking for a prospect?
Absolutely. They're constantly coming to our place and other parks in the Frontier League because the one good thing we've got going is age. We've got age going for us where most of these kids are 21, 23 years old. If a ball club is looking for a particular player, a shortstop, second base, outfielder, they see what they like. They know that they don't have to go do a lot of checking to find out something about the player because he's right here. So yes, we are scouted on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and we constantly take calls. At least I know I do, from scouts and organizations that are asking, "Hey, do you have a right-handed relief pitcher that can compete at the high A level?" And the one thing I've learned is, no matter how badly I want a player to stay with us, my job is to get them out of here and into affiliated baseball if that's their dream.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we're going to get back with Bart Zeller from the Joliet Slammers in about 30 seconds. We got to pay the rent here. Hang on the phone, Bart. We'll be right back with more of Bart Zeller and the Joliet Slammers of the Frontier Baseball League right after this commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Tonight, joining us live from the Chicago, Illinois area, Bart Zeller of the Joliet Slammers Frontier Baseball League. Just got done taking batting practice. Got the team all ready to face their opponent tonight. We've been talking Frontier League baseball. Bart, you back with us, buddy?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah, sorry about that. We got to pay the rent just like everybody else, and we were talking right before the break about how some of these guys get back into the major leagues, or how the major leagues even come down and do some scouting with the Frontier League, man. So, that was your dream at one time, to play Major League Baseball. You were very fortunate. A low percentage of people actually get to live out their dream and make baseball their career. So, back...
Well, Larry, I might add that when I played baseball and when Carmen played ball, there was a huge difference in the availability of places to play. When you got out of college, there was no such thing as independent baseball. You either got signed to an affiliated contract or you went to work. And today, with the number of independent baseball leagues that are out there, a player who really has the desire and the commitment and the passion to play the game at a higher level should get that opportunity. We had a tryout camp in early May this year at Washington, Pennsylvania. There was 360 players that tried out for a guaranteed 24 draft choices. It just goes to show you how everybody says the national pastime is dwindling and baseball's not getting as much hype, but I got to tell you, the kids are still playing the game. The 360 kids had a dream to play professional baseball, and they came out, tried out, and 24 were drafted, and some of them are still playing.
Well, you know, I think one of the reasons why these people are so hungry for this baseball is you hit the nail right on the head. The affordability of having a place you can take the family where you're not going to be nailed for, you know, $200 or $300 to go down and see a game. And the quality of baseball in your league seems to be outstanding, man. I don't think there's, you know, I'm not going to say there's not a huge difference between the major leagues, but I mean, the difference is in the competition. I mean, you guys are all evenly matched teams pretty much. You're not paying, you know, you take a New York Yankees organization that pays $200 million in payroll and they get all the big hitters and the big pitchers. This is more evenly matched baseball with these 14 teams. What's your assessment on something like that, Bart?
There's no doubt about it. That, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, and I may sound like I'm just an old guy that's savoring the dream, but if you took some of the minor league teams that teams have today and put on a Frontier League uniform and let us play them or other teams play them, these teams in the Frontier League would compete with them very well. So much depends upon the pitcher. I'm not going to tell you that if the Yankees came to town that we would compete. The difference, as you said, is so small, but it is so big.
Right.
The difference is in the major leagues, if you make a mistake as a pitcher, the hitters capitalize on it. They can put the ball out of the ballpark at any time. Pitchers have command in the major leagues of each corner of the strike zone, and they're not afraid to pitch in and own the inside part of the plate. In the Frontier League, you know, our pitchers, they throw the same velocity as they do in the major leagues. Their command of the strike zone is not nearly as great as it is in affiliated baseball.
And a lot of times when you get to the major leagues and you're a young guy just starting out, you don't have that command even in the major leagues. I mean, we see it all the time with the Cleveland Indians, and I hate to bring them up because, you know, you're probably a Chicago White Sox or a Cubs fan yourself, maybe
well,
not.
I'm definitely a White Sox fan because I was born and raised on the South Side, and but I know exactly what you mean. And Carmen, I'm sure, will talk about this. He's just came in, and he can't wait to get on the phone with you. But I must tell you that the pitchers today, they move them so fast that they really don't have the chance that our pitchers did when I was playing of learning how to play the game. You know, pitchers have to have experience of men on base, knowing the command of the strike zone, knowing when to throw, knowing how to pick and hold runners. The whole part of the game that I think is overlooked is the teaching of the game to the younger players. And, you know, they give millions of dollars to these guys. They're not going to give it to them to stay in the majors or the minors. They want them to get up there as fast as they can.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, once again on the phone, joining us live all the way from Joliet, Illinois, Bart Zeller, the manager of the Joliet Slammers from the Frontier Baseball League. Now, Bart, you brought up an interesting point about how fast these pitchers in the major leagues are moving today compared, you know, I have to go back and show my age a little bit. I saw baseball back in the early 70s and the late 60s. And one thing that I noticed today, and please correct me or give me a little more education because I was a young kid back then. Okay. These guys in the early days, nowadays it looks like you have a specialist for everything. This guy works the eighth inning. I remember guys in the old days, especially on the Cleveland Indians, it seemed like some of these guys could pitch a complete game, man. How has the game changed today compared to when you were back in the 60s and the early 70s?
Yeah, I'm not. You're definitely right on, spot on that one. I can tell you this, that I was lucky enough to see pitchers like Carlton and Gibson and Jenkins and Marichal. Those guys took, and by the way, they were as a four-man rotation, not five-man, so they pitched every fourth day. And they went on the mound and they said, it's my game, my responsibility, no one's coming to take it away from me. I mean, I think at one time, Fergie Jenkins and Gibson, if I'm not mistaken, had 26 complete games in the season. And, I mean, that's unthought of. I mean, today, if a pitcher has 5, 6, 8 complete games, they say that's outstanding. But, on the other hand, I think the game has gotten more exciting because now you do have a setup guy in the 7th inning. You have a closer for the 9th inning. So all of a sudden, the competitive level of the game has really increased. You don't have a tired arm out on the mound. You have a fresh arm against some of your better hitters trying to get them out. So, I mean, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, I'm not going to say, but I do know this, that pitchers could pitch complete games and have no problem doing that. And I think these pitchers today could do that if they schooled them and trained them and worked with them on pitching complete games. But now today, a quality start is 5 innings. 5 innings of pitching and three runs or less, and now they go to the bullpen.
Yeah, that's what I've always noticed, and I hate to say this because there's a couple of times I thought we lost a couple of games in Cleveland because he pulled the pitcher out strictly to do with pitch count. It doesn't matter. The guy could have got 3 more outs, it seems like sometimes. And then you put a guy in that comes out of the bullpen, and he maybe gives up a couple of hits or a couple of runs. And I've saw games lost where I thought, you're telling me a guy in 2012 can't pitch one more inning? I mean, I just find it hard to believe. In the old days, like I said. Go ahead, Bart.
No, I would agree with you, and I know that that's probably one of the toughest decisions that a manager and coaching staff have to make is the pitcher, has he reached the point of where you need another arm to come in, or do you let him go? And sometimes we make the decision, let's give him a chance to get out of the inning, and you know what? The guy hits a 3-run home run, and we look at each other and say, why did we do that? And another time he gets him out, and we say, boy, that was a good decision.
Absolutely. I don't want to switch places.